exchange ideas, and be interested by cutting-edge discoveries. I believe that the forum will provide unique and valuable opportunity to foster the development of the next generation of researchers. I am confident that the forum will lead to significant outcomes such as strengthening research collaborations, inspiring the generation of new ideas, advancing partnerships between academia and industry, and fostering new areas of research beyond traditional disciplinarity boundaries. I hope that the academic forum in Uji will be a fascinating, productive, and inspiring event for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsumoto. Now we will prepare for the keynote lectures. So please bear with us for a short while. Thank you. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce the first keynote lecture. Professor Yoshihiro Ito, Disaster Prevention Research Institute, Kyoto University, will speak on comparative earthquake and tsunami disaster sciences, ILET's vision for Japan-Latin America collaboration. So please.
Okay, thanks so much. Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to Kyoto. And it's my pleasure to show here about our recent progress on the ILET. So as you know, the earthquake itself is a very destructive event, but this is really a low possibility or low chance, but really high risk. If we have a large earthquake like here, we need to consider like a disaster related to the strong motion itself, as well as a tsunami induction. And of course, for the Japanese committee, we are very interested in the future large earthquake along the Nankai Trough around here. But if we look at the historical event in the last 100 years, one of the largest earthquakes occurred in Chile, as you know. This is a 1960 Great Chilean earthquake in Valdivia. The picture showing here on the right-hand side is, I believe this is island Chiloe after the earthquake. Actually, tsunami induction are observed in here, and some of the houses are like washed away due to the tsunami induction. And these earthquakes are very important, not only for the Chilean people, but also Japanese people. Because if we have a large earthquake in the Chile, the tsunami itself propagated, passed through the Pacific Ocean into the Japan island as well. Owing to this last large earthquake in Chile, we also have the damage not only in Japan as well as Hawaii and New Zealand and the almost all the coastline of the Pacific Ocean. Now we really concerned to the future destructive earthquake in the Nankai Trough. In the Nankai Trough, we usually have the large earthquake every 100 years or 150 years almost. But this is very, if we look at some of the document, historical document, we can identify some of the earthquakes showing in the right-hand side. But unfortunately, we only have the 1 or 2 records in the last earthquake. This means with using the recent seismological observation or seismological record, we can only identify the slip distribution showing here for the last Nankai and the Tonankai earthquake. In the previous one, we just expect where is the source area from the historical document. This is really difficult to identify what actually happened in the next future earthquake. In the seismology, we simplified this earthquake model, like here. One is a spring and slider model. Based on this simplified model, we can expect a similar idea with a subducting plate showing right-hand side and on the overriding plate on the subducting side on the plate. This is almost same. I explained the same idea as a spring and slider model showing the left-hand side. But if we have the very simplified model, such as a constant loading rate and stress drop and strength, like here showing in the middle panel, it's really easy to expect the occurrence of the earthquake. But unfortunately, this is not constant based on the recent understanding. This means the strength itself is probably variable. And the loading rate basically like a constant. But if we have some of the large earthquake around the target area, this should be a product like this. And stress drop itself, probably this is a variable, very variable parameter. This is also make a confusion for the seismologist, especially on the prediction or forecast of the earthquake. And if we look at it like this kind of shape, one loading rate and stress drop, and again loading rate and stress drop. This is called as the earthquake cycles. Please consider the earthquake cycle with comparing the egg to frog leg transition, like we call the egg cycle and earthquake cycle. If you are a biologist to search the egg, a frog, you try to observe the life cycle of a frog, like here, egg to the a tadpole like this, again the other frog make an egg. If we do the cycle at 10 times or something, we can identify the future of this frog. But if we look at the earthquake, if we look especially on the Nankai Trough, it's really difficult to expect based on the experimental idea. Because our life cycle is only one, probably in my case, 70 years or 80 years, probably, I hope. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's really difficult. Even if we gather for some of the information from the recent seismological observation in the Nankai Trough, from only Nankai Trough, it's really difficult to achieve the understanding the Nankai Trough earthquake. But fortunately or unfortunately, large earthquakes are occurring all over the world. Mainly that was occurring along the subduction system. This information should be useful for us as a comparative study. If we do the comparative study, we usually compare 2 or more subjects and to identify similarity and difference in the earthquake. This technique is the very powerful tool to understand the earthquake, I believe. For instance, if we look at the other comparative study, the one is, now I'm showing the 3 comparative studies. One is the comparative geomics. The other one is the comparative politics. The next one is comparative epidemiology. But I'm very not so familiar for the whole of them, but somebody really understand for each. But very important keyword is, the first one is to identify the element and adoption. And the second one, we're focusing on to understand how institutions shape political behavior and policy outcomes. And the third one, intervention strategy across countries or regions. These keywords are very, very similar to consider the disaster science, especially on the earthquake and the tsunami. So this is a kind of my motivation to develop the comparative study on the earthquake and the tsunami disaster science. In the traditionally, a classical comparative subductology are already done in the 1980s. From this contribution of the classical comparative subductology, we understand the two end members of the subduction system. One is Chilean type, one is Mariana type. As you know, this is the end member of the earthquake subduction system. At this moment, this is not fully accepted yet, already. But this is very important point is, the classical understanding of the subduction system is from Chile and Japan. Of course, Mariana is a little bit far away from the main island of Japan, but I believe this is almost our territory. Anyway, here we summarize of the purpose of the comparative subductology is here. A comparative subductology is a comparative research framework that uses the diversity of subduction zones as a tool to distinguish universal from regional specificity, thereby building to a deeper understanding of earthquake and volcanic phenomena and their hazards. If we consider what the purpose of the comparative earthquake and tsunami disaster science is, a comparative research framework that focuses on the diversity of earthquake and tsunami disasters in subduction zones to distinguish universally across natural, engineering, and cultural dimensions from regional specificity, thereby connecting community worldwide and advancing the understanding and mitigation of earthquake and tsunami risk through a deeper recognition of their causes and impact for the society. Why comparative study are needed on this science? As already mentioned in the previous my slide, our life cycle is very, very limited. And the information gathered from the world, but not limited, if we're focusing on the whole over subduction system. Now, we have some of the experiments last 20 years in Japan, like a Nankai earthquake. This is not in the 20 years, but the largest one occurred in the 1944 and 1946. And the very destructive tsunami was in 2011 Tohoku Oki earthquake. And we also had a large earthquake inland, 2024 Noto earthquake occurred. But that is located in the completely different earthquake cycle period. If we consider the preparedness for the disaster, Noto earthquake located building back better period. Now, if we look at the Tohoku case, this is the preparedness period. But if we look at the Nankai case, we are located in the preparedness, shifting to the next phases. But this is very tricky part. Even if we had the experiments from the last 1944 and 1946 earthquake along the Nankai Trough, as you know, society completely changed at this moment. This means our experience probably not fully worked to mitigate the disaster. In this case, we need to know what is the common issue, what is the difference at this moment in the world. This is very useful information to mitigate the future destructive earthquake and tsunami hazard. To do that, now we are working on this science called as, at this moment, earthquake and tsunami disaster science. To tackle this problem, we are using the SATOREPS framework. That is a funding agency from the JST and JICA in Japan. With using this SATOREPS framework, now we mean the Kyoto University had two products from the Mexico. One is already done by the 1920s. On the first SATOREPS project, we established the framework of the earthquake and the tsunami hazard science shown here. This means we focusing on the observation and modeling and product outreach to mitigate the disaster. Based on this product, now we are doing the next SATOREPS project, collaborated among Mexico, El Salvador, and Japan. In the second phase of this project, we are focusing on compound disaster risk reduction. As you know, if we have the large earthquake along the coastline, not only the coastline but also on inland, strong motion kind of causes damage to the building. And